Alright, so this is going to be Series 5 of the maintenance on the 2018 Ram 1500 with a Hemi. So we're going to do the transmission today. I got all the associated parts that we hopefully will need. We got 9 quarts of the fluid here. I got hopefully the correct type of pump so we can pump it into the side fill. I have the filter and the directions from the manufacturer of the transmission. So let's hop to it. Alright, so here's the number for the transmission pan filter assembly. Made in Germany, which it should be because it's a ZF. So this should be in original equipment. I say should be because I bought it off of Amazon, but it was from a Mopar dealer, I guess. So if you look on the inside here, it's got some more information. It says made in Germany. And like what I've seen in other videos, it's missing, there's a magnet right, let's turn it this way. There's a magnet here that's missing, so I'm going to steal one out of the old pan, clean it up and put it in. But you can see there's a magnet there, one here, one here. This is your drain plug, which is just plastic. And then this is like the pickup, and the filter is going to be housed in here. It does come with brand new hardware, which I would suggest using. A lot of my experience with transmissions are with Fords. I know Ford, the way they're designed for their pan bolts is it goes all the way through. So you end up with like dirt and debris getting stuck in there. And I've chased quite a few holes in those pans just because it's really hard to get them out. So, and this does also have the metal inserts. So can you over torque this pan? I suppose. I think the biggest thing installing it is just to make sure you're doing like a crisscross pattern so that everything kind of pulls up evenly. I think the Fords it's a Newton meter, but I want to say it comes out to be somewhere between 7 and 8 foot-pounds. So it's not much. If you're taking it off with like a 1/4 inch drive, I would say as tight as you can probably get it with a 1/4 inch drive, you know, is going to get you pretty close. I usually go back on the Fords and I would check them after I torque them with a 1/4 inch, and you can't get them to move. They're usually pretty tight. Alright, and I printed this off ZF's website. So I got X here at top. That's going to be the Chrysler, and then the associated transmissions. It's got 8 listed there. I'm not sure what the value is. I don't think it's quarts. It's probably some sort of metric. I have 9 quarts of fluid, which I think is going to be more than enough for this. But it just goes through everything. It shows you the pattern they want you to torque the stuff down to. It gives some values here as well, if it's aluminum, plastic, or steel plate. And so it says 10 Newton meters. We'll have to do some figuring on that. And then it also has the procedure that you need to do to fill or whatever. I got this circled here, so it says adjust the oil in the transmission exactly according to fill regulations. If oil is too low, the transmission will be damaged. If the oil is too high, the excessive oil will leak from the transmission through the overflow when heated. The escaping oil could ignite on hot parts. So really, overfilling it's not a terrible thing here. So underfilling probably would have some damage. Overfilling, you might burn your truck up, but transmission should be okay. Alright, so this is the fluid you need. 8/9 speed ATF. And you get the part number there in the bottom, 682-18925 Alpha Bravo. And if you look at the back of the container here, it does say to shake well before using. So remember to do that. There must be something that settles out in this fluid that they want you to shake it. And then of course that it's designed for the 8/9 speed transmissions manufactured by ZF. One thing I should mention before we jump to this, I'm doing this in the garage. The truck is going to be just parked. I'm not trying to level anything. When we do it on the Fords, we just put it up on the hoist, and what looks level is level. If you're doing it on a parked surface, I'm envisioning that that's the correct way to do it. Also, I know I said I was going to do this at work, but I just I couldn't bring myself to it to go to work to do it. I'd rather just do it at home, because then I'm at home. Even though it would be 100 times more convenient doing it at work, That, and I want anyone who wants to do this in their yard, garage, whatever, they can do it like this. So if I can do it at home like this on the floor on a creeper, that's anyone can do it that way. Alright, so these are the tools that I'm going to use. So this top one here is going to be a 10, and that's going to be to get your drain plug out, but because of the exhaust, I actually cut a small piece off of this, and I'm going to use a 10mm wrench on there to loosen the drain plug. This 8mm here is going to be for the fill plug on the side of the transmission, and then you're going to need a T40 bit, and there is one again that the exhaust is in the way where there's interference, so I'm going to use this small, I think this is a 1-inch length T40 with a little 1/4 inch wrench on that to get that one loose. So the plan is to see if I can get this one loose with this combination. If I can't get this loose, then we're going to stop and not go any further. If I can get this one loose, then we'll make sure that we can get the fill plug out, and then we'll take the drain plug out and we'll continue on. Alright, so I got the drain plug just cracked, and the fluid looks okay. It doesn't look very dark. So I can tell you, I didn't get any video of it, that and I'll show you which one I'm talking about. The one of the pan bolts, that one that's really difficult, that you got to do with that little tiny wrench, that one was extremely tight. I didn't think I was going to get it. And then also the fill plug was extremely tight. I had to double up a wrench on the end of that Allen to get the thing broke loose. So, and I did check, I pulled the fill plug out just to see if the fluid would come out, and it did. So we kind of got an idea of where the level would be, and the transmission obviously being very hot. So I'm going to show you everything here. This here is going to be the fill plug, and that's also where you check the level. Right in there, these are your pan bolts here, those T40s, and I'll show you the one that's hard to get to. And this over here is going to be your drain plug. And like I said, that's very close tolerance there, so you don't want too much sticking out of the drain plug there when you're unscrewing it. And it will go all over this pipe, but it drains down real nicely, and the top of this pipe is flat, so if you drop whatever you have here, it lands right on top. This isn't round. They've actually flattened it all the way across here, across where the transmission pan is at. Alright, and then this one right here is again right in line with your exhaust, so I couldn't use my standard 3/8 drive T40 to get that out. That's where I'd use something a little bit shorter to get it out, because I couldn't even get that on there. And if you could get it on there, there's no way you'd be able to unscrew the bolt. You would hit this flat part of the exhaust again. So, and again, if you're looking for transmission information, right here it says it's an 8 HP70. That gives you your transmission information, and that's right on the side of the transmission on the driver's side here. Alright, so I got the plug out. I know it's hard to see. And I left the drain. Maybe you can kind of see the plug is out there. There's a drip. And I filled up the coffee container because it's supposed to be like 8 quarts, but judging on what we got out here, I'm guessing this is closer to probably only 4. Doesn't look like much. And the videos I've watched online too are kind of the same thing, where I don't see guys putting in 8 quarts, so I'm not sure what the story on that is. So I'm gonna work on popping all these bolts off, and we'll see if we can get the pan off. Alright, so I have all of the bolts out except for one, and what I did was I got it so that the pan is leaning towards the drain plug, and I got a little bit more fluid to come out. I know with the Fords, once you pull the filter off, all the oil above the filter comes down and it makes a huge mess. Otherwise, you can do it pretty decent. So I'm thinking we'll have the same issue here, because it has that pickup that goes up into the transmission. So we may need to adjust our pan here to pull this off. I probably won't video any of that because this has been an oily mess. Alright, so I got the pan off. I think it looks pretty good. I got 79,000 miles on this transmission fluid. So there's some sort of weird, I don't know what this is here. Well, it's just a little bit of sludge the way it looks. But the magnets look like they're doing their job. I mean, there's a layer of goo on there, but that's to be expected. That's what they're supposed to do. Yeah, I don't know. Otherwise, that's pretty clean. For 79,000 miles, that's pretty good. And for the amount of towing that I do, I don't know. I've read some forums where there's guys just crying that you got to do this at 50,000 miles or you're going to burn out your transmission. I don't know about that. Manufacturers usually have a recommendation for a reason. And I know Dodge's recommendation is it's a lifetime. You never have to do anything with it. But I think the ZF here, their recommendation is around 70,000 or something like that. I don't know. I wouldn't be changing it at 50. To me, that seems like way overkill, especially for the cost of this. I mean, the pan was, I don't know, 250 bucks. The oil was ungodly and expensive. I think I had about 400 for the flush here, and I know the dealership quoted me around 1,000 to do it. So, just taking some quick looks though. It definitely looks like this is a actual factory pan here. It's got all the same markings, even here. I know it's hard to see, but it's got the same imprinted mark like it does over there. But for whatever reason, this magnet here is not included on that pan, so we might just slide one of these out, clean them up, and stick it in there. The other thing you want to check when you pull it off is make sure that this O-ring doesn't get stuck up inside the transmission, because that could be a problem. Make sure that that comes off. And actually, when I pulled this off, there wasn't much oil that came from above. So, and the filter here is going to have oil in it. So I know when you do your specifications, we're going to drain everything out here and measure what I took out. I'm going to figure there's probably a quart between the loss on the floor, what's left in the filter here, and that type of thing. So we'll see how close we get to that 8 or 9 quarts. Like I said, to me it looks like there's probably not much more than 4 that came out. Alright, so I got the magnet switched over. I put a little bit of transmission fluid on the O-ring there, and I'm going to slide this pan in, and we'll attach it with the new stainless hardware here. And the old ones, I'll bring them out so you can look at them. There's a little bit of corrosion on them. These are sealed when they go up into the bottom of the transmission. They're not open to the elements on the top. But that's why they're having you replace these, because they get a little corroded, and I guess the time factor for a tech to drop it, to clean them up, it's just quicker to change them out. So I'll get this put back on here. Alright, so I started the filling process. I'm using this pump I got, which works okay. The length of hose it came with was long enough to reach. The problem is when you pump, it only gets down to about the last 6 ounces and then it stops pumping. So I've actually dumped the 3 quarts here into this one. I got about half a quart already that I haven't been able to pump through. But anyway, I drained everything into a quart container from the pan and the coffee catch there, and I had 5, well, it was 4 ounces short of 5 quarts total. So I'm figuring there was probably at least 4 ounces still in this pan and filter assembly. So if we say 5 quarts total, that's what we should probably get back in there. So like I said, I got those 2 there completely empty. There's about a half in here and almost about a half in there. So I'd say we got 3 total quarts in the pan before it started running out. So that's what we're going to start with. And then you need to start the engine, and then it says to fill prescribed amount until fluid runs out of filler hole. So their instructions here are a little different. I know some of the other ones talk about temperature. Make sure that the temperature, yeah, so you got to drive so that the valve opens and all that type of business. I'm still kind of surprised I didn't get more out. I know there's some guys that say, oh, you gotta, you know, if you drive it when it's too hot, there's like a coolant valve in there that opens, and then you're gonna have the transmission cooler drain as well, and then it's going to be super low if you only do it the fill one way. Well, I drove this thing quite a bit this morning. I had the transmission temperature up to like 174 degrees according to the gauge. And I can tell you from the burn on my mark, everything was pretty warm. The oil coming out was pretty warm as well. So I don't know why I didn't get out more than that, but I watched a couple of these videos and a lot of these guys only got 4 quarts out of their truck as well. So I'm not sure about that. And about the whole thing about leveling it, I don't understand. I watched another guy jack up the back of his truck to level the actual transmission in the truck, the pan. And I didn't quite understand that, because when you're going to check it, you're probably going to check it with it on the tires. So would you be filling it incorrectly? I don't know. I'm just doing everything off the ground. I don't know. Some of these guys get way out there with that. We know what came out. 5 quarts. That's what we're going to put back in. So I got the plug in, the fill plug. I'll start it, run it here, and then we'll put some more in. All right, so for the oil change, the information here, the service information, is going to be to start it, open the fill lock screw, the fill plug, fill the prescribed amount until it runs out of the hole, start the engine, which I've done. Then you're going to fill it until it runs out of the filler hole, and it says if there's a transmission cooler present, which there is, you overfill it by 0.5 of a liter, which is approximately, I believe, a half a quart. Close the oil fill plug, drive vehicle until valve opens. They're talking about that that coolant valve or whatever that opens up the transmission cooler or whatever. Then for checking, you're going to start it, check the temperature, and if the temperature is the 30 to 50 Celsius, which is 86 or 122 Fahrenheit, maintain the engine speed for 2000 RPM, the fill torque converter, which, like I said, the torque converter I don't believe drained because we only got 5 quarts out of it. Let engine run, check transmission temperature, is it still between? Yes. Then you're going to manually shift, which I did this just because you hold it in each gear here. Check it again, then you come back, is it still the same temperature? Yes. Open the fill screw, does oil run out? Yes or no. And I can tell you right now, we were sitting at what was it, 87, 94? I don't recall, but it's within this amount, and nothing's running out yet. So I'm gonna just keep pumping it in until it runs out. Like I said, it does say in here that there is a vent that it could come out, so I'm not too concerned about overfilling it. I'm more concerned about not having enough in there. And like I said, that was approximately what I figured was probably still left in this filter. I know with the Fords, for a drain and a refill on the Fords that we do at work, I believe it's like 8.2 quarts, and most of those I usually end up putting in about 9 or 9.5. So it's close, but like with Ford, it says check and adjust, you know, after you get it up to operating temperature, and theirs is like, oh, 186 to 206 or something. You got to have the Ford pretty warm before the transmission temperature is before you can check it. All right, so I got these 5 quarts in. We were at 107 degrees with the transmission. So I started the 6 quart, and I only got 8 ounces out of that quart before it started running out. So I would say that's probably about right. Like I said, I took out what I assumed was at least 5 quarts, and there was probably some still in this pan. Even as I speak, there's still some that just keeps coming out of that filter. So I'm not sure where they come up with the 9. Maybe if the transmission was like tore down, or you remove some solenoids or something, maybe that's how you get that. But like I said, I had it up plenty warm this morning where everything should have been opened up. I drove it probably, I don't know, 5 miles or so at various speeds, kind of going through the gears with it. So we're going to take it out now, do a little road trip with it just to test it out, and then we'll do a final check on it. We're just going to go a little slow here just to make sure everything shifts nicely. So right now the transmission temperature is 109. I don't know, it seems like it's shifts just like it normally does. I know I've read somewhere on a forum too, someone said, well, after he changed the fluid and filter, oh, it shifted so much smoother. I don't know, this thing has always shifted like glass, just extremely smooth. Even when you're like completely pegged, it shifts just unbelievably smooth. Alright, so to wrap it up here with my final thoughts, I think the major part of the procedure is just measure what you take out, because that's going to get you pretty close to what needs to go back in without doing any type of guessing. So, and then I would print these directions off from ZF to do the procedure. There again, basically when you get the amount in that it starts coming out at the right temperature, you just need to make sure that you're at the right temperature. If it's too hot, you're obviously not going to get enough in there. And you can't check it when it's too hot because the level will be too high because of the expansion of the fluid. So that's the biggest part with that. Also, I should mention for the tightening procedure, I just did it with this. I didn't torque anything. Basically, I held it up at the top end here, and when I couldn't turn it by hand, that was pretty tight. You can tell when it bottoms out. Just give it a little bit more, another like 10-15 degrees, and that's all it really needs. Doesn't need much because it's just a rubber gasket that's sealing on the pan. So other than that, if you're looking at doing your service on your ZF 8 HP transmission here, this would be how I would do it. That'll be it for now.